Welcome to Sakitto. Let me quick open a party. Alright, party is public. I do not want that. I want a private party. Alright, so we are here in Sakitto with a wet race, a wet qualifying, and some interesting stories coming in. So, sorry last night, yeah. Still a bit out of it as the Corvettes had out nose to tail. Sorry about last race after working at that point for, I think that was 20 days straight. I'm up to about 20. Up to 24 days in a row working. So it's been a busy time of the season for me. Guard, as I'm sure you've noticed, is back after a hiatus. We are, however, missing Hefty slash Fuses, I think was his new name. We're missing the Ferrari, however, so still only 4 in GTE. We are back up to 4 in LMP1 with Spidey coming back, and we've still got a solid 3 in LMP2 as Koala gets started on his flying lap. Guard comes out of the pits directly behind him. So, as Koala will be the first person here to set times, we will notice that throughout qualifying, the puddles will start to build and build and build. The LMP1s will have the toughest time struggling to fight the puddles. And you'll notice this layout has no final chicane as they just fly down onto the front straight. At this, excuse me, Sakitto, because I don't want to say anything suspicious. Koala posting a time of 1:49.6. Guard's time is not representative as he was coming out of the pits after resetting. Snipper, on the other hand, though, who is currently running with no lights, setting a blistering wet time of a 1:47.164. We will see what Warrior can do on his first lap. And you can see tire temp is a little bit difficult here. Warrior also resetting. So that was an outlap. That was 2 seconds slower than Guard, interestingly. So as far as in-laps and out-laps, Guard might have the advantage. You can see, though, tire temp will be an issue this race. Track temp only 84 degrees, and in the wet, that's not very warm at all. Ambient 71, rain the entire race. Interestingly, Guard going with race fuel, possibly just focusing on honing in his racing tune for 10 final minutes. Not able to improve. Guard does drop down to a 50.1. Snipper also not able to improve. As it looked like Snipper got pretty loose coming out of turn 1 there. Through 130S. Warrior goes wide. That'll cost him a tenth or two, especially coming into here. Puts him offline. Fights the understeer. Gets the front turn in. We'll see what he can do. He will improve, as this is not an outlap. And he jumps up to P2. Still almost 2 full seconds behind Snipper. So Snipper setting the pace this qualifying session, even though he is still running with no lights. And Guard is off at the second of the double rights before the under crossover point. Cross under point, I should say. Snipper spinning the wheels coming out of Fork Corner. As again, we cannot use any of the actual names tonight. I'll have some fun with it, considering we're at Sakitto instead of the course we know this is all an absolute rip-off of. And Snipper taking the chicane for fun. That will be Snipper's qualifying done, as he tried to practice pit in and overshot. Warrior's in the pit, so his qualifying is also done. He will start second as highest possibility. You can see now some puddles are forming with such low car count this late in the season. Add to that, splitting the field up into thirds for qualifying. Water will build up quicker here than during the race, and Koala calls it quits on his qualifying. Guard is the only driver remaining on a hot lap. Snipper has exited the pits, probably just to get another run at pit entrance. And Guard oversteering at the cross under point. Saved it. No, he didn't. Takes out one cone on the reverse. Takes a cone with him. And lost it again. Again, you can just see how slippery it is and how much these drivers are struggling for grip out here. So, your qualifying order in GTE will be Snipper on pole, Warrior second, Koala third, and Guard will be fourth as the LMP2 drivers get ready to head out. And you can see just how slick that paint is. Guard put 2 wheels up on the curb and on that green AstroTurf, as Guard does a good job of waiting for his teammate to get through safely. And all Guard had to do was put 2 wheels up on that turf, and he completely lost the back end of that car. So Guard fighting the oversteer in that car in the wet. Snipper runs very wide through 130S, and again overcooks pit entrance. Meanwhile, LMP2 drivers are heading out onto the track. Intersport already almost all the way through the first sector. Driver I say halfway through the second section of corners. That's much later on this track than it is on the real life version. And Cone has also ventured out now to come play in the rain. Intersport coming away with a win at last week's race in Dubai. Hopefully the connection issues have been resolved for a couple of our drivers. In the dry, we should expect about... Actually, that camera angle is a great shot on how much this course overlaps itself, as it is the only figure 8 course this season. But as I was saying, in the dry, we should be expecting low 30s, I would think, for this class. 30, 31s. In the wet, I would expect to see about anywhere in the 37 to 38 range. Driver has a much better outlap than Intersport, which again, that could just be pit. Actually, no, it can't be pit placement. So, again, these outlaps are something to look forward to in the race. These outlaps will be crucial. This will probably be a one-stop for almost everyone. To be honest, in a GTE car, if you put it in lean right at the beginning, and are consistent through the entire race, you may be able to make it on a no-stop. It's only an hour, 15 minutes in the rain with some fast sweeping corners. There aren't really that many slow hairpins at this track, unlike the real version. There's no final chicane, there's no hairpin after the cross. Excuse me, folks, there's no hairpin at the cross under point. So, very high-speed track, which could explain why the Corvettes got pole in GTE. They have been shown to enjoy the long, high-speed sweeping corners, such as the Carousel at Road America. And indeed, Intersport is right around that 36-37 mark with a 136.721. We will see what Driver can do, as Intersport did run a little wide coming onto the front straight that lap. XX Driver comes across the line and sets a new personal best, but still 2 seconds off the pace of Intersport. Cone's obviously up on his time. Nice and steady through 130S into the final corner. Flowing downhill corner. Nice and smooth onto the front straight, and that's exactly why he got pole. It is sometimes, especially in conditions like this, it is faster when you look slow because you're not scrubbing any speed. You're not sliding the tires. You're not scrubbing any of the power down on the water. As we watch him come through this very difficult section, you can see him hit that puddle. Car unsettles on him as he is up on his time. Meanwhile, Intersport's about to finish his lap. We'll see what Intersport can do. Keeps it nice and tidy through the last corner this time by. Only needs 0.4 of a second, and he finds 0.2. Not able to find the last bit that he needs. Driver is up a couple tenths on his time, but that will not help him improve position as we fall back to Cone, who's in the middle of Fork Corner. Driver crosses the line and doesn't improve his time. Oh, excuse me. He improves his time by 2 seconds on a couple tenths. Meanwhile, Cone's running an almost identical time to what he ran last lap. And he does improve by 1/10, extending his lead over Intersport and Driver to 0.3, as there's only 22 1/1000ths of a second, faster than a blink of an eye, separating Driver and Intersport for P2 in LMP2. Excuse the yawning, folks. I mean, it's been a long couple days. Just got back from flagging at an SCCA event at Nelson Ledges up near Cleveland, Ohio. Fantastic to have that track reopen. Intersport not able to improve that previous lap. His driver's on an out lap, 24 seconds off his best. And Cone had just taken this lap. Make sure he has enough fuel to do 1, maybe 2 more laps. Cool off his tires, although honestly they don't need cooled, to be honest. Just make sure he has a nice gap, that way he doesn't need to slow down for the rest of qualifying. Meanwhile, Jeff, after the first sector, is up by 1/10 on his time. That would put him 1/10.5 back if he can keep this pace up for the rest of his lap. He will be looking at a pole position, at a provisional pole position, excuse me. As he heads into Fork, front end washes out on him a little bit. Meanwhile, Driver not up on his time, barely. Jeff is very close to pole. He needs to find 0.5 in this final sector, but the final sector very difficult. It's only 130S and the final corner. The second half of 130S, as they do form an S shape. Did he find that 0.5? He did, and will go to pole by 4/100ths of a second. Driver coming out of Fork Corner. Not up on his time. He will not improve this lap. And Cone loses it out of Fork Corner. Parked in the middle of the track. Stalls the car. Spins around to get it going. He needs to cross the line in the next 60 seconds if he wants to get another lap. Car looks undamaged, however he is just tiptoeing it around. Now he gets on the throttle as he heads past the alternate pit lane. Gets a good run through the 130S's. and he will be able to have one more lap. Intersport coming out of Fork Corner will not improve his lap. In fact, he might have had it spin, because he's 4 seconds out on his time, and Cone has given up on qualifying. And so has Driver. So LMP2 qualifying is over as the LMP1 cars head out. It will be Intersport on pole by 4 100ths over STX Cone Dodger as Jeff tries pit in. X-Driver within just over 3.5 tenths. As the 4 LMP1 cars are out on track. All very close together, I might add, too. Damage will be the first to set a time with Daniel behind. And the two... excuse me, that is not Daniel behind, that is Texas behind. Followed by Daniel, then Spidey, and Damage is already into the wall, possibly, it looked like. Coming out of the first sector. Through the left-handed carousel. Into the double rights. He is continuing, so I can't help but to assume he does not have damage. But again, these puddles are forming. 22 minutes into qualifying, and it is a miserable conditions. Still have some Hardy fans braving the pandemic and the weather out in Fork Corner. Listening to that beautiful Audi diesel compared to the V4 Porsche. Again, all very different engines, V4, V6, V8 if I recall correctly, and the Porsche, Toyota, and Audi respectively. Already on the outlaps, the LMP1 cars are heading up towards the front end of the field. Should be expecting high 29s. In the dry, we would expect about 25s or so from these cars. I'm guessing we're going to see 28s, 29s. Maybe a 27 if we're lucky. But it would need to be a darn near perfect lap, which Texas has a solid lap going on. And boy, look at the puddle at that corner there. The second of the right-handers before the cross-under, excuse me. Before the bridge. Texas losing it just after the cross-under as he heads out of Fork Corner onto the back straight. Past the crossover through 130S onto the front straight, and he will set a 127.7. So yes, we will indeed see a 7 as Damage sets an 8. And oh my goodness, folks, Dan just set a 126.858. Wow, that is fast. Meanwhile, Spidey having a rough first lap. Goes ahead and completely aborts it. Currently qualified 7th overall behind all 3 LMP2 cars. Wow, 126 is flying. Whether I said we'd be lucky to see a 26 or 27, but 27s definitely seem doable. I'm not going to say easy, but definitely seem doable. And there we go. Just like that, Dan lost the car coming through the carousel out of the first sector and will reset. That just shows you how hard these drivers are pushing and how easy it is to lose it in these treacherous conditions. stay along with Texas as he comes out of Fork. Through the 130Ss. Across the line on his outlap. Second run of 3 that these drivers will get, most of them going for the outlap, flying lap reset approach. And just like that, Texas has lost it coming out of turn 1 and will have to abort his second run, and he doesn't have enough fuel to do 3 laps, so his qualifying will come to an end after his current run that he is on, unless if he resets and adds more fuel to the car. Meanwhile, Dan is on an outlap, indeed he is. Spidey's just now working his way through the first sector, looking to set a clean lap. Damage looking to improve from 3rd place. The top 3 almost equally spaced. Damage in the first sector alone already set to jump up into P2. Stays wide of the puddle in the last corner before the cross under, before the Mito Bridge. Coming through the tail section of the track now into Fork. Gets on that green AstroTurf, has to get out of the throttle in order to save the car. That cost him 0.4 of a second. It'll be close whether or not he can gain that back. Whether he can gain those 0.2 that he needs to pass Texas or not through the 130Ss. And oh wow, terrible line through the final corner. Will ruin this lap, ruin his next one, as he does not improve this lap. He does by 24/1000ths of a second. So just got too much curb on the inside. It hooked the car, dragged him in, and by the time he hit that sausage curb, it was already lap over for him. Texas keeping it nice and tidy. Wide entrance, tight on the exit. A little bit wide on the actual exit of the corner. On an outlap, so good start for his next lap. Dan keeping it nice and tidy through the final corner. Coming out of 130Ss, and will improve his time by another 3.5 tenths. He'll have to leave in the next 30 seconds if he wants to get another go at it, which he does. Meanwhile, Texas on his final lap is up on his time. Not enough to improve his position, though. It's all about locking in that front row start, making sure that the Audi does not make it a Porsche back row start. A little bit loose in between the 2 apexes of Fork. A little bit wide onto the back straight. Still up on his time a little bit. Meanwhile, Damage is preparing for a flying lap. Still clobbered the curb a little bit there through the 130Ss, especially in the final corner. Meanwhile, we hop back to Texas. We'll see what he can do. And then he will set a time of a 1:27.414. Just under a second behind Daniel. Speaking of Daniel, Daniel will be the next to cross the line. He is on an outlap. That's what I thought. He will be able to cross the line and get one more time, though. Damage has returned to the pits and is leaving. He's just going to do some pit lane practice. Hopefully he does not interfere with the fast laps happening in place. And Spidey was able to finally get a clean lap. Set a 1:29.2. He is up on his time. At least he was. He clobbered the curve in the final corner. Had to get out of it. He will get one more lap after this. And does not improve on his time, excuse me. He was not up on it. As Dan has gotten past damage. And checkers are out. Flying laps do count. So Dan pretty much already has pole in the bag. He's just going for bragging rights now, folks. As we look at Spidey, who is up on his time a little bit. Daniel is up on his time. Meanwhile, we'll see if Spidey can leapfrog damage. It's not looking like he's going to gain enough to do that. Very difficult race and conditions for Spidey to join back on. And Daniel does improve. Puts the gap back over second, back to Texas in second place. Damage will come home in third, and Spidey in fourth. Full time is a 1:26.400. That's so your running order is Daniel, Texas, Spidey, Damage, and what damage? What? Spidey might have just pulled one out of the bag, folks, and indeed he did, unless Damage gave himself a speeding penalty. I'm not sure what happened there. Anyway, so your LMP1 starting grid is Daniel in the Toyota on pole, ahead of the two Texases of Porsche and Spidey. Yeah. The two Porsches of Texas and Spidey, with Damage rounding out the LMP1 field. In LMP2, it's Intersport, Cone, and Driver. And in GTE, it is a Chevy and Ford sandwich, with the Chevys on the acting as bread and the Fords acting as the meat on the sandwich. I do not want to hit exit. Field nice and spread out, actually, as they are in their grid spots. So, predictions for the race. It's definitely a one-stopper for the all of the prototypes. Possibly two if they get damage, depending on when they get damage, if they do. As the field is underway. In GTE, honestly, it's very close to a no-stop race. With the wet conditions, a fast-flowing track, we'll have to see what they can do. While I took my I'm sorry, folks. It has been a long day. Excuse me while I took my hat off there. field comes into the third sector, they start to get the class splits forming. Excuse me, well, the field comes towards the end of the second sector. Again, the third sector very short at this track. Formed up. See some of the drivers swerving to try to keep as much heat in their tires as possible. It's very brave to do too wide on the back straight, swerving like that. Make sure everyone's lights are on real quick. And indeed they are. As the LMP1 field comes through the 130S's, coming down the hill onto the front straight. Get ready to go. And on the gas and the brakes. Can't cross the light until... Ooh, this is going to be close, folks. And, whew, Daniel making sure he does the pace lap at exactly 70 miles an hour. Leaves no room to spare for the lights, but because of that intimidates the competition and does get a jump on both of the Porsches with the Audi trailing behind. Meanwhile, in LMP2, we are underway. Intersport gets the jump over Cone, it seems like, and indeed they do. They file single file into turn 1. In GTE, the field comes to the green. And green flag is out for GTE. Snipper able to keep the Fords at bay with guards sticking behind. The Fords fight side, and Snipper's off in turn 1. Got on that AstroTurf that I was talking about into the gravel trap, able to pull it out of there somehow, and leaves the Fords sitting 1-2. Although it looked like Koala was looking for a way by. As they still sit 1-2 with guard right behind. Already see some puddles forming in the rain. Meanwhile, Dan at the front of the field, coming up towards the end of the first lap already. Not able to pull away from Texas, as the gap is about half a second. The battle for third is still on, as that's about a second gap. Battle for the lead is on, though, as Texas looking on the outside, looking on the inside, not able to get it done through turn 1. Slides through turn 1, through the exit of 1 into the entrance of 2, and opens the gap up to 3/4 of a second now. So smart hybrid usage around the lap by Texas, saving it for the front straight to make a late race, not race, but late lap charge on to Daniel, trying to get that lead. Unfortunately, it did not work for him. Meanwhile, in LMP2, after a lap, it is Intersport and Cone, also only about half a second separating them. And it's about a full second back to driver. In GTE, we are side by side for the lead between teammates. Two Ford teammates side by side. Will Koala overdo it into turn 1? And he does big time. Will this open the door for guard? Don't know, because the cameras are retarded. And somehow Warrior got a bad run out of that corner. I'm not sure how, because... Oh! And there might have been contact there, folks. And Warrior is in the wall. Heavy damage. The engine is dead. I wonder if his controller died, because there is no life in that car, folks. I do not see any movement in the cockpit. This could be serious. I don't see any damage on guard. That car just went straight into the wall. And there is movement now. Folks, I hate to... Wow. Very unfortunate for Warrior, who is in the championship lead. Meanwhile, Intersport's in the pits already. That is not a scheduled stop at all. Doesn't look like he has damage. Comes in for tires and fuel. In fact, not changing the tires. And this is indeed a damage stop for Intersport. Heavy damage for Intersport, as he almost spins it coming out of pit lane due to the pit boxes being unequal on height. Warrior limping around almost to the back of the second sector, excuse me. Yeah, unfortunately, folks, for Warrior, it just looked like either a controller went dead, especially with how long it took for him to pull it out of the bundle, or not. Meanwhile, while all that was happening, Texas has spun out of second place, allowing allowing Damage and Spidey to get by. Meanwhile, Spidey just spun it out of turn 1, accidentally hitting his lights off. Able to keep it going though. No harm, no foul. So this rain is catching out quite a few drivers, as Daniel's already in the lap traffic. And Intersport looked like he went off again, as I'm having severe lag issues. I'm having absolutely atrocious lag issues, folks. Sorry about that. Taking my phone off of Wi-Fi to hopefully get rid of some of these problems. So, in the first 5 minutes of the race, we've had a top contender, if not the top contender, in each class spin. 2 of the 3 taking heavy damage, as Warrior is now a lap down, as the Corvettes go side by side. Snipper getting past Guard. Snipper is wide, so is Guard. Snipper spins it again in turn 1. Guard able to keep it pointing in the right direction, but has let Warrior by. Warrior is a lap down, so he may want to play rear gunner for his teammate, as Koala lets by one of the Porsches. That would be the number 2 of Spidey. Meanwhile, Texas starting to close in on damage for P2 and LMP1. Daniel focusing on making that lead grow as much as he can, as it's up to about 3.5 to 4 seconds now. As we are already 1/10 of the way through this race. Down, 5 laps, 90% to go. Approximately expecting a 50-lap race, possibly up to 55. Spidey is setting his personal best. And Daniel has some damage now, as Daniel only has 1 operating headlight. I'm not sure when or where that happened, but that's new. Meanwhile, in LMP2, Cone leads healthily over X-Driver. It's about a 4 to 5 second margin there. fact, measuring it closer to 6. Meanwhile, Intersport clinging on to the tail end of the lead lap in that class. Koala having a quiet drive out front in GTE so far, with Guard still stuck behind Warrior, who doesn't seem to be holding him up all that much. Meanwhile, Snipper sitting in 3rd place. Battles on for P1. Position 2 as Damage and Texas both run a little bit wide through turn 1 and 2 into 3, 4, and 5. As we will take a lap on board with Texas. Into 6th gear here. Down into 4th. Now down into 2nd for a tight right-hander. Up through the gears. In the dry, this would be almost flat out, possibly flat out if you get it perfect. In the wet, not so much. You might even dab the brakes through that left-hander. Into 4th. Swinging out for the outside as Damage hits the curb and loses the back end, as we've seen with various other cars today. Texas keeps it tight on the inside of the exit of 4th to avoid doing the same thing Damage just did. Completely flat through the first part of 130S. Is he flat for the second part? Yes, he is. Using the hybrid to get the Porsche to top speed. Down into 4th gear. Now 3rd for turn 2. Back into 4th. Short shift into 5th. Put the power down into 6th. You can just hear him work the car. Fighting the understeer here. Got on the curve. Fighting the oversteer now. Across the puddle. Fighting the wheel spin. And that is a lap around Sakitto International Raceway. Damage does stay out, unsurprisingly. No damage done to the car. Just time lost. And we head back to trackside. Dan's been able to increase his lead to 7.5 seconds over Texas. Damage working on hunting Texas back down. He's got about 3 seconds to do that to gain. Spidey also not too far behind Damage. Spidey's only about 5 seconds behind Damage. In LMP2, it's still Cone. Over which I missed Driver having... Don't tell me. Driver has DC'd again. That is very, very unfortunate. No, he hasn't. I'm following him right here. I'm sorry, folks. Again, I'm sorry. I saw the Ford. I thought that it was wrong, and it showed the wrong car. As I was saying, in LMP2, it's Cone heading into Fork over Driver heading into Fork over Intersport coming out of turn 2 into the meat and potatoes of the first sector. In GTE, it's still the cuddly Koala. Could this be Koala's breakthrough win after having the mid-season slump in the beginning of the season? Honestly, ever since Coda, he has not performed the highest he would like to. Warrior, his teammate behind him, is a lap down, so you can't ignore that. Corvette fans, there's some rejoice as both Corvettes are still running and healthily too. As they're almost running on this turn. Tooth and nail battle here. That seems to be the only times. Still working on reeling in Texas. In advance, folks. I am struggling to stay awake. I know it's just an hour race. I'm trying my best. Constantly moving, but when you've been moving and running all day, this morning I had to do 4 different track inspections. One after a spin, one after the car spun on its own fluid. Another after a rollover. Yes, having the first rollover today. Driver okay. And then another spin and continue that brought a whole bunch of rocks onto the track. Corvettes are going at it, not quite door to door, but almost. Officially under an hour to go. Not sure why we're watching empty track. Oh, that's why. Excuse me, folks, if I missed that. Guard had another spin. As the Corvette's still struggling with the oversteer, Koala taking it slow and easy. You can tell Warrior's pushing to gain the track position back that he lost. Try to get on the lead lap of GTE as Koala runs wide, hits the billboard. That could do some aero damage, as that might have been what happened to Daniel to make him lose a headlight. Meanwhile, Texas has gotten around damage. We can't remember it. Sorry about that. Again, just leave it tired. Brain's firing on 6-cylinder instead of 8. Corvettes doing starting to get a little bit small. We'll see what happens with the 2.4 GTs. Anyway, 15 minutes remaining in the race. We are approaching close to halfway. Don't watch a split change, and then Spidey has gained a little bit on damage. And Snipper is right with Warrior now. Excuse me, that is... yes, that is Warrior in the second of the Fords. We'll see what Snipper can do. Meanwhile, sorry about that, folks. 2 miles of feet. Meanwhile, mid-circuit pit stop. Sorry about that, folks. It's been very... Meanwhile, Texas has got the driver is also in the pits for full service. Like X's driver just had a mistake there, and after that pit stop he has slipped back into third place. Slipper into the leading GT. Like driver has just left the session. Are really starting to form now, making it ever trickier to run. Meanwhile, Dan's in the pits. after a relatively large lead over damage. Running a solid second. And after getting this one still a lot behind. Look at being doesn't have a lock on the field. Cone leads over Intersport, not by much though. Correction. Cone leads over Intersport by a full lap. So the field pretty darn spread out as Snipper is into the pits for hopefully the final time, as Koala still needs to pit. So does Guard and Warrior will be cutting it close. With 23 minutes remaining, Dan has about half a lap, about 3/4 of a lap over damage. Is under increasing threat from Texas. They both have about a sector on Spidey, who is very much in danger and threat of going a lap down. Kona has lapped Intersport and driver has retired. In GTE, it is still Koala driving away to a quiet first place. As he is about the majority of a sector ahead of Guard, although that gets eaten into a little bit as Koala lets Spidey go by. Meanwhile, Texas has lost his front nose clip. So yet again, Texas getting caught out by the wet. Not sure what happened there. This comes out of fork. I stand corrected, but I'm pretty sure he did not pit last lap, even though he's missing his entire front nose kit. And indeed, he is not pitting. See what he can do with damage, even though he has no front nose. Should be able to make it to the end on fuel, though it will be relatively close. Texas able to keep it together. Not able to catch damage really all that much. Meanwhile, Dan has caught Spidey. And he's putting him under pressure of being a lap down. Has allowed Intersport to unlap himself. Correction. I think Intersport may be threading going a lap down again. Again, folks, this could be a timing and scoring glitch if Intersport were to spin coming out of Fork Corner or coming through the carousel, the left-hand carousel at the end of the first sector. He would miss the first timing split, which would make him lose a lap. So we will have to verify the finishing order after the race is over. Stay tuned for the next race for that one in 2 weeks' time, which I believe may be Daytona. Maybe one of the first double crown jewels, as this is the last sprint round of the championship. Warrior up on his best lap time, believe it or not. And that's over as damage. I'm not sure whether Warrior preemptively went wide or was forced wide. Either way, goes wide and lets the Audi through. Meanwhile, Koala did hit for his partial tank of fuel, letting Guard get into the lead. The Guard will not be able to make it to the end from here. coming down into the last 10 minutes. Sorry about that, folks, as I had to deal with something on my phone. Dan still has a well and commanding lead over Damage. Texas not able to gain on Damage. And Spidey is a lap down. Conan Intersport, with how close they're fighting, either Intersport's had a miserable race, and I will apologize, I did fall asleep earlier. Either Intersport had a miserable time while I was asleep, or he just lost a lap or two in timing and scoring glitch, and Guard is finally in, having not been able to make it to the end. That gives Cuddly Koala the lead of the race. Snipper will cycle through into second. Warrior still almost a lap down, not able to recover after that terrible luck, having what looked like the controller die on him. So yeah, I mean, other than LMP2, speaking of which, where is Cone? And Intersport had another mistake, and Cone is long gone. So Intersport not having, between this and the Grand Am race Friday night, not having the rain races he wanted. Does return to the pits. positions are pretty much locked in as we close in on the final minute and a half of the race. As we are down to the final 10 seconds of the race. Dan coming into 130S's for the final time. We'll come around the final corner, down to the line, and will take the win in Japan at Sakitto. Koala coming out of Fork will be the next class leader to take the checkered flag. He will win the first sprint race of the year, and he will win the last sprint race of the year. Coming to the line, Cuddly Koala will take honors in GTE. LMP2, not the race that Intersport was hoping for. However, Cone desperately looking to clinch points back in the championship as he was watching it seem to slowly fade away. No more as he takes a win in Sakitto. Guard is coming around to finish third in GTE. Along with Damage to finish second in LMP1. And the last car to cross the line will be Texas to bring it home in third. So, LMP1, Daniel over Damage, Texas and Spidey. LMP2, Cone over Intersport. And in GTE, Koala, Snipper, Guard, and Warrior. Which the Fords swapping who started and finished where. Actually swapping the Corvette sandwich. The qualifying order finished in 4-1. Correction. 3-1-4-2. So, as usual, GTE puts on a hell of a show. Sorry for my lacks of commentary there at some point, but have a good one and join us again.